Welcome to Same Spit, Different Face TV. Well, my opinions is facts, and if you don't like my opinions, you can start your own podcast. And it's free. So don't forget to spit on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification. Now, Loose Cannon sits down on a podcast, and he's sat down multiple occasions and told this, and he was kind of doing it in a way to taunt Meek Mill, but he talked about the time he allegedly robbed Meek Mill and took his chain. Now, Loose Cannon basically say that Meek Mill walked into the club in LA and he got a bunch of bodyguards with him, and his bodyguards turn around and he grabbed Meek Mill by the shoulder when they turn around. So right there, you should hear that that's a lineup. Whoever them security guards is, whoever them bodyguards is, they must have had some connections to the Rolling 60s or Loose Cannon, or they was afraid of what the retaliation might be if they didn't act like they didn't see what was going on. So he said he turned Meek Mill around and told him, you know what this is? And he said Meek Mill didn't say anything against him. He just started to take his chain off his neck to hand to Loose Cannon. Can you hear that? Loose Cannon said Meek Mill, the gangster rapper, took his chain off his neck and handed it to him. And so Loose Cannon then said, yo, I called Rick Ross and I told Rick Ross, hey, you got this artist. He out here in Cali. He's supposed to be coming out. You do not want it to get out that we got his chain. Obviously, you know that's going to ruin his credibility as an artist, as a rapper, as a street guy, and that's going to hurt his sales, and he'll never get off the ground. And Rick Ross, to this point, has put probably millions into Meek Mill, and his career is finally starting to take off. So when you look at it from that standpoint, Rick Ross allegedly showed up and allegedly paid the $50,000 they wanted to get the chain back. And so when you look at it from this standpoint, if I'm Rick Ross and I'm just trying to tie this into like the discrepancy between him and Meek Mill. Now, if you know somebody took a chain off your neck, you didn't get no resistance, no fight, none of that, and then I ended up having to come and help you get this chain back, I ended up having to come and pay money to get this chain back to save your career, and now down the line you want to buck me, you want to get into it with me, you want to say this, want to say that. And let's be real, Meek Mill didn't say much flat out, but you could tell by his actions that it was things going on with him and Rick Ross behind the scene. Now obviously, just because Rick Ross saved him and he gave $50,000 to get the chain back, that don't necessarily mean that he's supposed to, he being Meek Mill, supposed to let him put him in a bad contract and take him out his money and stuff like that. But you should have a lot more humility for this situation. But also, like I say, you got to fight for what's right in your contract as well. But yeah, Loose Cannon is in this Big U Rolling 60 Crips indictment, this RICO case. And basically, the RICO says that everything that is in there is things that has been said on the internet, and they found it from podcasts. And I know a lot of y'all probably thinking like, well, how can they hold him for something that they said in the podcast? Well, whatever they saying in the podcast must line up with what's actually happening in the streets. Example, if right now I get on this podcast and say, yeah, man, I remember it was a day last summer where I went to this store and I ate some grapes out the bag without playing, and then I left, and the store manager of the store ran behind me. I knocked them out in the parking lot, and they knew not to play with me. Well, if they go back and see that, oh, this happened, or this is what's been going to the streets, and then they say, damn, this story sounds exactly like that other story, now we can lean on some informants, or we can lock somebody up from that set, maybe catch them with a gun or something, and tell them, look, he said this happened on this day, that day. Can you corroborate that story, or do you want to do 10 years for this gun with a switch on it, or for this AK-47, or whatever it may be, right? And so it's a couple of ways, but basically, when you getting on these podcasts and telling street business, you corroborating what actually happened in real life. It's like a play-by-play for these situations. If you want more updates about Loose Cannon, Big U, Brick Baby, and a Rolling 60 Crip indictment, I need you to hit that subscribe button, and you made it all the way to the end of the video. You might as well hit the like button. Check out my original Chicago hood movie in the end screen, No Time to Play Fair. If you into sneakers, you a sneakerhead, you love seeing the new Jordans, Pumas, whatever it may be, subscribe to Kicking It with Fairplay 2333. If you trying to follow me on my basketball journey, my weightlifting and fitness journey, and also be inspired to get back on your fitness journey, subscribe to Fair Play, Flex, and Fadeaway. Also, any of these pages I just named, you can also find them on TikTok or Instagram.